In one of the poorest countries on earth, a land long stripped of its riches, where hope was a fading memory, a 34-year-old man rose to lead. He wasn't born into privilege. He didn't inherit power. He didn't study economics at elite institutions. But in just 2 years, he began transforming his country in ways few thought possible. He reignited growth, reduced national debt, and, most importantly, restored a belief his people had nearly lost, the belief that real change is possible. His name is Ibrahim Traoré, and across Africa, many now call him the new flame of the continent. For some, he is living proof that integrity and courage, not lineage, can alter the course of a nation. And today, you'll understand why this humble young leader has become not only a symbol of hope for Burkina Faso, but a voice for an entire continent longing to reclaim its dignity. Ibrahim's story didn't begin in the halls of power, but in the dusty corners of everyday life. Once a geology student at the University of Ouagadougou, he had no political background, no media spotlight. He was the kind of person you'd pass on the street without noticing. But behind that quiet exterior was a burning desire to see his country live better, stand taller, and rise fairer. He was born in Pondori, a small town where electricity was a luxury, medicine was scarce, and going to school felt like a privilege. He grew up surrounded by hunger, poverty, and the silent pain of mothers holding families together with little more than hope and a handful of vegetables to sell. These experiences left a mark and sparked a mission. He chose the military, not for power or prestige, but to be closer to the ground he wanted to change. And when the nation fell into crisis, he did not arrive with loud promises or grand speeches. He stepped forward, calm, clear, and determined, believing one thing: Burkina Faso could no longer be governed by foreign interests or held hostage by its past. It was time to stand on its own. At the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, Ibrahim delivered a speech that made the world stop and listen. "We have gold, diamonds, and oil," he said, "yet we remain the poorest continent. That is no coincidence." It was a quiet but thunderous moment. For the first time in a long time, a leader spoke a truth so many had felt but few had dared to say aloud. Africa had to stop being a puppet on foreign strings. That moment wasn't about anger. It was about truth. It was about reclaiming Africa's voice. From his calm resolve came a storm of transformation. In Burkina Faso, like in many parts of Francophone Africa, the CFA franc, a currency printed and controlled by France, still dominated the economy. It was more than just money. It was a tool of financial control. Countries using it were required to deposit half their foreign reserves in the French treasury. So while Africa created wealth, others held the keys. Traoré refused to accept that. He moved to create a sovereign central bank, giving his people the right to control the very currency they earned. For him, independence was not a slogan. It was a series of concrete steps. Control your resources. Keep your wealth. Determine your own path. He didn't stop at finances. For years, French troops had maintained a military presence in Burkina Faso under the pretext of security. But the insecurity never truly improved. For years, it had been mined and shipped abroad in raw form. Locals were left with empty pits, while foreign companies walked away with the true value. Traoré changed that. He ordered the construction of gold refineries inside the country. From now on, gold would be processed in Burkina Faso, creating jobs, building expertise, and keeping profits at home. When foreign firms offered overpriced bids to build roads, he refused. Instead, the government purchased 900 pieces of modern construction equipment, trained thousands of young workers, and started building the roads themselves. The results? Lower costs, better infrastructure, and national pride. Farmers could now reach markets faster. Children could get to school more easily. Emergency health care was no longer blocked by mud or broken paths. But Traoré didn't stop there. He launched major support programs for farmers, including subsidized tractors, fertilizers, and improved seeds. He also shifted national agricultural policy, moving away from export dependency and toward food self-sufficiency. Rice, vegetables, fish, meat. Every household needed reliable access to the basics. Step by step, from seed to street, from tools to factories, the country began to shift. Not with miracles, not with handouts, but with effort, resilience, and belief. And above all, with leadership that placed the weakest at the center of development. Because Traoré believes that progress means nothing if the most vulnerable are left behind. If a child can't go to school, he once said, if a mother can't access medicine, then no road, no factory, no speech means anything. In rural areas, healthcare was once a dream. Some walked tens of kilometers to see a doctor. Some had never even seen an ultrasound machine. So Traoré launched a fleet of mobile clinics, bringing modern healthcare directly to remote villages. These vans carried more than medicine. They brought dignity. Education was another priority. Traoré knew the greatest loss wasn't buildings or budgets. It was abandoned futures. Children orphaned by violence, if not cared for, could become a lost generation. His government built free boarding schools for the children of fallen soldiers, places where they could learn, grow, and heal. He also reformed laws to protect women. For too long, widows in traditional marriages had no legal rights, no inheritance, no financial support. Traoré changed that. Customary marriages are now legally recognized, giving women protection and access to loans, land, and employment. He launched microfinance funds to support women entrepreneurs, whether opening a small restaurant or starting a soap-making business. Because when a woman stands on her feet, a whole family stands with her. And through it all, he never forgot the simplest truth. Real development is when the most forgotten feel remembered, when even the weakest can say, "This country sees me." Even national security, often reduced to guns and soldiers, was redefined by Traoré. For him, security starts with trust. If citizens don't believe their government can protect them, no fortress will be enough. Burkina Faso had long faced threats from armed groups. In some regions, the state had virtually lost control. People lived in fear, cut off from schools, roads, even food. Traoré didn't promise instant solutions, but he began to rebuild defense from within, prioritizing intelligence gathering, modern surveillance tools, drones, and early warning systems. Because when you have accurate information, you can prevent disasters before they happen. Bit by bit, village by village, trust is returning. And for the first time in a long time, people believe that the worst may be behind them. This is not just the story of a president. It's the story of a people rising from within, no longer begging for aid, no longer waiting for saviors, building, farming, healing, defending on their own terms. And at the center of it all stands one man, not a savior, not a superhero, but a servant, a young leader who dares to dream differently, a man who walked into power with empty hands, but a full heart. Ibrahim Traoré is proving that Africa's future doesn't need to be written in foreign ink. It can be written by Africans themselves, page by page, brick by brick, seed by seed. And maybe, just maybe, the fire that started in Burkina Faso is only the beginning.